Yes, good day everyone. We're going to continue in 8.2 multiplying out of brackets with negatives and subtraction right now. Hopefully you have already practiced enough with theory A, because the same theories apply in theory B, but we're going to expand on it using, as the book already says, negatives and subtractions. Let's go to my laser pointer. So there are two different things that we can change right now. We can say, well, what happens when there is a negative sign inside of my brackets? But we can also take a look at what happens when there is a negative number in front of my brackets. And the same rules apply. Here you do 5 times A and you do 5 times B. But now there's a minus sign right here. So you don't get 5A plus 5b, you get 5a minus 5b. Here you have this minus in front of the 8. You have to remember to include that in your multiplication. So you do minus 8 times p and you do minus 8 times 3q. And there's still a minus sign here as well. You can include that with the 3q as well. Then you get minus 8p times minus 3q. Then you find 24q. And then you have to add that addition operator here. Now you can also say minus 8 times p is minus 8p minus, because that's the minus here, minus 8 times 3q is minus 24q. And then you should remember that minus minus becomes plus again. And you may leave out this intermediate step. The book also says that. Right? So, for example, here, minus 5a. Remember, this rule still applies. Minus 5a times minus 5 times 3b gives me minus 15b. 2ab minus 6ab. Here, if you only have a minus in front, the book indicates this in this green box here. That means that there is a minus 1 in front and a multiplication dot. So mathematicians leave out two things here, the 1 and the dot. So that means I'm doing minus 1 times a and minus 1 times 3b, which gives me plus 3b in the end, because minus and minus. Minus 2x minus 8. So remember, only a minus sign means minus 1 times both terms inside of the brackets. If you have something like this, when your expression gets a bit more complicated or longer, you could say you have two different calculations here. We have the first part. See, this boy here also really tears this paper apart and says, well, watch out, you have two different parts here. The 3 times a minus 2b and the minus 4 times 2a plus b. So that minus that's right here, you have to include that in your multiplication. I repeat, you have to include this minus in your multiplication. This is something that goes wrong very quickly. Just because you're working too fast, for example. I know students in 2nd and 3rd grade who still make this mistake, not because they don't understand how this works, but because it's just really easy to just forget that this minus should also be multiplied with this 4. And then you get a different answer, because if you do that, then you will find that the last term will not turn negative. So always include this minus in your multiplication. You see that if you tear the expression in two parts, that this minus is on the right side. And we now know if you have this minus here included in your multiplying out of the brackets. So you get 3 times a is 3a and 3 times minus 2b is minus 6b. And you get minus 4 times 2a is minus 8a times minus 4 times b is minus 4b. And if you have this, then you're still not done, because now you can do 3a times, or 3a minus 8a. Right, you can change the order. 3a minus 8a is minus 5a, and minus 6b minus 4b is minus 10b. And there is another example right here. So here are some examples. What should you not forget to do here? Answer that question first. You should not forget to include the minus in your multiplication. So this becomes 3a times minus 2b, and minus 5 times a and minus 5 times b. Gives me this expression. Then simplify. 3a minus 5a is minus 2a. Minus 6b minus 5b is minus 11b. Here, first multiply out the brackets, include this minus 3a plus 6 plus 5a. Gives me 2a plus 6. Remember, you can only add the like terms. You cannot add this 6 with the others, because those don't have the same letters. This here is a tricky one. This seems to sometimes trick my students into doing it incorrectly, because now you say, hey sir, you have a 5 and a minus in front, so you do minus 5 times a and minus 5 times 5. No, here you get, and I can even draw this inside of this equation if I want to. This is more like this. 5 minus 1, like this. So you get minus 1 times a and minus 1 times 5. This 5 is just in front. It's just there to mess with you. You just leave it there. You get 5 minus 1 times a and minus 1 times 5. So you get it like this. 5 minus a minus 5 gives me minus a. Right, so here you could say you going to divide them in those two parts. The 5 part and the minus 1 times a plus 5 parts. This just stays 5 and this becomes minus a minus 5. You leave out this 1 here right now, right? You could say minus 1a, but we don't do that. We just say minus a. That's why they say here minus a. Okay? Please practice this. Practice makes perfect. Really, this is something that you have to practice a lot, because there are a lot of tricks. This is just one trick that they show you right here, but there are a lot of other traps that you can also fall into. And I'd rather have you fall into them right now than you fall into them at the test or in 2nd grade or in 3rd grade even. So practice this enough, please. If you have any questions, if you find that you don't find the same answer in your answer book, please first check yourself, otherwise ask me the questions inside of the lesson. Good luck and have fun practicing.